Have you ever felt like you've been given a tremendous opportunity, only to misuse it? Or perhaps you've seen others take incredible blessings for granted. There's a powerful story Jesus told that speaks directly to this, a story that shook the religious leaders of his day to their core and continues to offer profound lessons for us today. Let's dive into the parable of the wicked tenants from the Gospel of Luke. Jesus begins, "A man planted a vineyard, rented it to some farmers, and went away for a long time." Imagine this scene. A landowner invests his time, effort, and resources to create a beautiful, productive vineyard. He builds a wall around it for protection, digs a winepress for processing the grapes, and erects a watchtower for security. He does everything necessary for it to flourish. Then, he entrusts it to tenants, farmers who are given the privilege of working this ready-made business. The deal is simple. They work the land, and in return, they give the owner a share of the harvest. It's a relationship built on trust and mutual benefit. The landowner goes on a long journey, trusting his tenants to be faithful stewards. When harvest time arrives, he sends a servant to collect his share of the fruit. This seems perfectly reasonable, right? It was part of the agreement, but what happens next is shocking. The tenants seize the servant, beat him, and send him away empty-handed. They not only refuse to pay what they owe, but they also violently assault the owner's representative. Now, if you were the landowner, what would you do? Most of us would probably respond with force, but this landowner is incredibly patient. He thinks perhaps it was a misunderstanding, so he sends another servant. Surely, they will respect this one. But the tenants do the same thing to the second servant. They beat him, treat him shamefully, and send him away with nothing. The audacity is stunning. They are openly rebelling against the owner's authority. Still, the landowner shows remarkable restraint. He sends a third servant, and the result is even worse. This time, they wound the servant and throw him out. The tenant's wickedness is escalating. They have moved from defiance to outright, violent rebellion. They want the vineyard for themselves and are willing to do anything to keep it. At this point, the landowner faces a critical decision. He has one last resort, an ultimate appeal to their conscience. He says, "What shall I do? I will send my son, whom I love." Perhaps they will respect him. This is an act of incredible grace and trust. Sending his own son demonstrates the depth of his desire for reconciliation. The son represents the father's own authority and love. It's the highest honor he could bestow upon the tenants, a final chance to make things right. But the tenants' hearts are completely hardened. When they see the son, they don't see a chance for peace. They see an opportunity. They say to each other, "This is the heir. Let's kill him, and the inheritance will be ours." Their greed has consumed them entirely. They believe that by eliminating the rightful heir, they can seize ownership of the vineyard forever. So, they drag the son out of the vineyard and kill him. This is the ultimate act of betrayal and rebellion. After telling this story, Jesus poses a question to the crowd, which included the chief priests and teachers of the law who were trying to trap him. What then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? The answer is clear and unavoidable. He will come and kill those tenants and give the vineyard to others. Justice must be served. The tenants' evil actions have brought about their own destruction. When the people in the crowd heard this, they exclaimed, "God forbid." They were horrified by the outcome, yet they failed to see how the story applied to them. Now, let's unpack the incredible symbolism here. The landowner is God the Father. The vineyard represents the nation of Israel, and later, his kingdom and all the blessings he bestows upon his people, his covenant, his law, and his promises. The tenants are the religious leaders of Israel, who were entrusted with the spiritual care of God's people. The servants sent to collect the fruit are the prophets of the Old Testament. Think about it. Elijah, Jeremiah, Isaiah, and many others were sent by God to call his people to repentance and righteousness. And how were they treated? They were rejected, persecuted, and even killed, just like the servants in the parable. And the beloved Son, this is Jesus Christ himself. He is the Son of God, the heir of all things, sent by the Father as the final and ultimate messenger of grace and truth. The tenants' plot to kill the Son to seize the inheritance mirrors the plot of the religious leaders to kill Jesus, believing that with him out of the way, they could maintain their power and control over the people. The Son being killed outside the vineyard is a haunting prophecy of Jesus' crucifixion outside the city walls of Jerusalem. Jesus then drives the point home by quoting from Psalm 118, "The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. He is that rejected stone." The religious leaders, the builders of the nation's spiritual life, were rejecting him, the very foundation of God's plan of salvation. But God would overrule their rejection and make Jesus the cornerstone of a new community of faith, the church. He concludes with a stark warning: everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces. Anyone on whom it falls will be crushed. This means we have a choice. We can either fall on Jesus in humble repentance and surrender, allowing our pride to be broken, or we can resist him and be crushed by his ultimate judgment. So what's the lesson for us today? First, this parable is a powerful reminder about stewardship. Everything we have, our time, our talents, our resources, our very lives, is a gift from God. We are tenants in his world. He has entrusted us with a vineyard. The question is, what kind of fruit are we producing for him? Are we living lives of gratitude, obedience, and love, offering back to him the fruit of our worship and service? Or are we acting like we own the place, living for ourselves and ignoring the one to whom it all belongs? Second, it's a story about God's incredible patience and grace. He sent prophet after prophet, and finally, his own Son, giving humanity every possible chance to turn back to him. His desire is not to condemn, but to save. However, the parable also teaches us that God's patience has a limit. There is a point where rebellion will lead to judgment. We cannot reject his grace forever without facing the consequences. Finally, the central message is all about Jesus. He is the Son, the cornerstone, the center of everything. The most important question this parable leaves us with is, what will you do with Jesus? Will you reject him like the builders did, or will you build your life on him as your cornerstone? The choice we make determines our eternal destiny. To accept him is to find life, forgiveness, and purpose. To reject him is to face the consequences of standing against God. This isn't just an ancient story, it's a present-day reality. God is still looking for faithful tenants to work in his vineyard. He calls us to a life of fruitfulness, a life that honors him. Let's not take his grace for granted. Let's respond to his love by humbly surrendering our lives to Jesus, the beloved Son, and our precious cornerstone. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this powerful parable. I hope it has encouraged and challenged you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content that dives deep into the scriptures. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next video. God bless you.